There is a great book. It's called Hi folks, it's Carrie from Pretty Neat. Thanks for joining me. So today I want to talk about an important part of the organizing process, and that is decluttering. Now, I consider clutter anything that isn't serving you. Those things in your home that are taking up space, that you haven't used in a long time, you're not likely to use it ever again. And yeah, it's really just not adding anything positive to your life. Decluttering is such an important part of getting organized. I would say it's the most important thing because for a lot of folks, the problem isn't really being disorganized, it's just having an excess of stuff. You simply have too much stuff and your home and your storage spaces can't accommodate it anymore. So for a lot of people, just the act of decluttering is all they need to do to get organized. And you might find that if you just got rid of some things, you wouldn't struggle so much to navigate your home. You wouldn't struggle so much finding those things that you need, being able to use them and put them away easily. I work with a lot of people in their homes, helping them get rid of clutter, and I know that this is such a difficult process sometimes, and I struggle with it too. I can be sentimental about certain things, and I have had to come up with some techniques to help myself get rid of things, and I've been able to pass that knowledge along to the people that I work with. So I want to share some of those tips with you today. And I have a series of questions that I use that I find are helpful. I can ask myself or I can ask my clients these questions about their stuff, and it can help us get to the heart of this matter of clutter. What is really useful and what is just taking up space? So you've probably heard the question, does this object bring me joy? This comes to us from Marie Kondo. She is an organizing guru, and most people have probably heard of her by now. And her question is a simple one. Does this thing bring me joy? And she says, if you can get rid of everything that doesn't bring you joy and only keep the things that do, you will have an organized and harmonious home, and you will love living there. And I think there's a lot of value to her perspective. I do find sometimes it's a little more challenging to figure out if certain things bring me joy, particularly with very functional items. Things like, kitchen gadgets and stuff like that. Do they really bring me joy? Maybe, but some things are just utilitarian. And so for those kinds of things, I find it helpful to ask myself, does this thing bring value to my life? And this is a question that comes to us from the minimalists, who are also experts about minimizing, and they have books and a great documentary on Netflix. But their question, does this bring value? This is a little more all-encompassing, I think. Value could mean it's a useful item that you actually need. It's a tool that you need for cooking or for writing or what have you. Value could also mean, though, that something makes you happy when you look at it. Maybe it reminds you of a happy memory, or it's a reminder of a person that you love. So value can mean a lot of different things to a lot of people, and asking if the things that you're sharing your home with are bringing value to your life, I think can be a very good question, and one that can help you distinguish the important things from the clutter. Another question that can be helpful when you're trying to organize and declutter is, when was the last time I used this? And particularly if the answer is, it was a year ago or even longer, the odds are you're probably never going to use it again. And I know that this can be tough. We think we need to be prepared for any eventuality, but the reality is we just simply cannot store everything in our homes that we might need someday. There's really no way of knowing exactly what we're going to need. And so to be prepared for anything is just unrealistic. So if you're struggling with getting rid of some things, ask yourself, has it been more than a year that I've used this? And if the answer is yes, odds are you can part with it and you're not going to miss it. Here's another question that has been really helpful for me personally, and that is, would I buy this again if I saw it in a store today? So I have done this particularly with things like I'm into paper crafting and I have a lot of supplies for that. And it's easy to justify keeping all of it because it might be useful for a future project. But I will look at those things sometimes when I know I need to pare down, and I'll ask myself, if you saw this in a store today, would you pick it up and buy it? Would it be appealing enough that you would want it again today? And that has really helped me distinguish the things that I really love from the things that I'm just keeping because, well, why not? I might as well keep it. Ask yourself, if I saw this in a store today, would I buy it again? If I saw it and it was on sale, would I even buy it? And if the answer is no, then it's probably something that you've outgrown. It's not your style anymore, and you can part with it and not worry that you're really going to miss it. Another question you can ask yourself when you're decluttering is, if I had to downsize, would this item make the cut? So I personally work with a lot of people who are downsizing and they're moving to a much smaller home and they need to make those hard decisions about what to bring and what to let go of. But even if you're not in that position right now, try to imagine that you are. Try to imagine that you had to move into a home that only has half as much storage space as you have right now. And if you're struggling to decide about a certain item, ask yourself, if I was downsizing dramatically right now, is this one of those things that I would say, yes, this is going to warrant a space in my new, much smaller home? If the answer is no, then that's a clue that that's an item that probably isn't that useful to you, and it's something that you can easily part with. Another question you can ask yourself when you're decluttering is, do I want my family to have to deal with this thing when I'm gone? Now, this is a hard thing to think about. None of us want to think about our own mortality, but it's the reality. And when we are gone, someone else is going to have to deal with all of our stuff. So if you have specific items that you know are not of interest to anyone in your family, you can ask yourself this question: do I want them to have to deal with this because I know none of them are going to want it when I'm gone? This might be useful when you're dealing with things like collectibles or things that you know are going to be challenging to get rid of, maybe larger items. Why not deal with it now yourself and not burden your loved ones with having to deal with that stuff when you're gone? There is a great book that gets into this in a little more detail. It's called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. And that sounds like an intense title, but it's actually a very good book, and I will link to it in the description box below. But it talks specifically about paring down your home for the specific purpose of making it easy for your loved ones to deal with your stuff after you're gone. A final question that I'll leave you with: if you're struggling with decluttering, ask yourself this: do you want your home to be living space or storage space? Now, obviously our homes are a little bit of both, but I believe that the main purpose of our homes is for living. It's to be our sanctuary, and we want it to be a calm, peaceful place, especially during these crazy times of the coronavirus. And if your home is just filled to the brim with too many things, you're never going to feel fully relaxed and calm there. So if you're really struggling with parting with stuff, but things have piled up to the point where it's really starting to bother you, try to keep this point in mind. Your home is for living. It's not meant to just be a storage unit. If you can part with a few of those things, it's going to be a much more pleasant experience to live in your home. So I hope those tips were helpful. If they were, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be sharing lots more information here about decluttering and making your home the best it can be. Talk to you soon.